Hello everybody, today we're going to look at some great little accessories for your Nintendo Switch. Stick around. Okay, so over the years I've gathered several different little devices to help enhance my Switch experience. One, I've got very large hands. Two, I don't have the greatest eyesight, so I wear contacts, but unfortunately my contacts only fix my vision in the middle spectrum, right? So close up or far away, my contacts struggle a little bit, which makes little tiny screens like the Nintendo Switch very, very difficult for me to properly appreciate when playing normally. So over the years, I've gathered up several different tools to try to help this out and make the Switch more enjoyable for me. So let's get started. So I have a handful of items here. This is Cruis'n Blast, by the way. If you haven't seen the video, there it is up there for you. Big fan of this game. I'm very excited. It actually kind of got me excited to be playing Switch again, which sort of enhanced my ideas for doing this particular video as well. So we start off with the standard. This is our standard Nintendo Switch. There's nothing added to this. This is just stock and out of the box, ready to roll. And as I mentioned before, for me, having big hands makes this a very uncomfortable game console because I have these big hands and I have to crunch my hands up. It helps if I take these Joy-Cons off and play like this because I can separate my hands. I can play like this. So that is one possibility, but then you need other things to make that work out, right? So we'll start off with this guy. Here's my Pro controller, by the way. So this is just a stand. And I know you're looking at it going, why would you even bother talking about this? Well, one, it's Super Mario, which is kind of cool. It's got some neat things on there. Plus, it's got several areas of articulation. So you can actually get this guy to position exactly the way you want, for the angle that you want, and to be suitable for your Switch. So if you want it back more and angled, I mean, there's all sorts of different ways you can set this guy up, which makes it really easy if you want to play with using a Pro controller or using the, or just popping these little guys off. And now I can play at a comfortable distance that my eyeballs actually work, and I can play here, or I can play with my Pro controller. So even something as simple as a stand like this, and this one's metal, it's high quality. It's kind of expensive now. There's a link in the description below. They're kind of hard to get a hold of. They're more a little collector, a little more esoteric item. But that's my point is, though, is you can get any sort of stand like this that has multiple degrees of articulation, and you can actually get a really good experience with your Nintendo Switch by simply using just a stand. Okay, so the next thing would be fixing the hand cramping issue if I wanted to use this guy all the time. And so there are numerous third-party grips that you can use. I have one from RDS, and there'll be a link in the description below also. This is a very simple, easy on, easy off set of grips. It's very simple. You just drop it in, it clicks on the top, and you're done. Easy to come back off to. There's a lot of these grips out here that are, I don't know why, but they're wiggly, they don't clip on very well, they don't stay on, and they're hard to take off. And I mean, it just makes me crazy when there's something that's perfectly useful. So the secret here, of course, is in the wider grips, right? My big old man hands need something to hold on to while I'm accessing my trigger fingers up here on the bumpers and the triggers. And so by having this simple, easy, cheap device, I now have the ability to hold on and still be able to access. Even if I have to move my hands out like this, which really sucks because that's my problem, getting to these finger buttons. You could lay your hand over your bottom finger pads over it, but it's just not comfortable. Even with the hand grips, I still struggle a little bit. But this keeps me from getting severe hand fatigue right away. So simple set of grips can do the job, and they're pretty cheap. So if you find your hands cramping after playing your Switch for about 30-40 minutes, try something cheap and easy like this. It works. Okay, so another interesting possibility is I have done reviews of various clip-ons, right? So you have a controller and you clip your phone onto it. Well, we have the Nintendo Switch version of that right here. This comes, it's called KDD, although there's a sticker, so I wonder if it was marketed elsewhere, but with a different name. Pro controller clip mount. All right, I know what you're thinking. This sounds actually pretty cool, and it kind of is. So it's a very simple alligator type clip here. I don't know, it snaps into place, you'll see in a minute. And then at the top, you have this fully swivel head to actually attach your switch to. So here are your tightening, so you can actually, your tightening knobs, so that you can adjust the angle. This is just like the other ones I've reviewed in the past, but how does it work here? So here's your Pro controller, slide it on, line it up, and I did notice that it takes a little bit to line it up exactly right. And then once you're lined up, it'll snap into place, and there you go. Not too shabby, right? This actually looks fairly comfortable. Now, of course, the switch is probably a little heavier than your mobile device, so let's see how that works out. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop these controls off, the Joy-Cons, because you don't really need them. I'm gonna slide this into place. It stretches out. It's got nice little grippy feet to keep a hold of your switch. I'm gonna center it just a little bit for the weight, and there we go. I'm gonna adjust this to what I like to see, and I'm going to tighten this up on the back. Here we go. Perfect. I now have a portable playing switch where I'm using the Pro controller, and as a bonus, I can hold the screen a little further away. I know there's going to be old man jokes and geezer jokes in the comments below. I expect these. I welcome them. However, just being able to have this a little farther away can drastically increase my enjoyment of using the Switch. And of course, the Pro controller, I'm going to be honest, kicks the Joy-Cons ass. So it's fairly easy to get off. Just pull this little tab down and it pops right off. From a quality control point of view, I think it's okay. The price is not bad. So if you do have to replace this at some point, if anything's going to break, it's going to be right here, this little tab. It seems to be fine, but it'll take a lot of use to find out for sure whether this guy will hold up. But again, the price is right, and it gives you all the different options. You can lay it backwards, you can lay it forwards, you can swivel it around, and as a bonus, I almost forgot, I had notes to mention this. Why else might you want this guy? Some of you are already smart enough to know this, and you're going, Shane, stop the fun. Watch this, watch this. There's nothing up my sleeve, right? Instant tape mode. That alone might be worth owning one of these, don't you think? All right, so enough of that guy. All right, so that goes in the pile. So there's also another problem with the Switch. Some people may not consider it a problem. The other problem would be the battery life, right? And the battery life is pretty good. To be honest, Nintendo's always very cognizant about making sure that the battery life is good on its handheld consoles. However, there may be times when you do want a little more bang for your buck. So what we have here is something from BigBlue, which is a clip-on 10,000 milliamp battery pack, right? I know. As you can imagine, from a weight perspective, it's lighter than the Switch, but not by a lot. So this is going to cost you in terms of weight and comfort. However, this is so neat, it's so worth looking at. So this has your Type-C connector, your USB Type-C connector. On the back, you've got a battery indicator light. Push a little button, it'll tell you how charged your battery is. It uses USB-C to charge, which is perfect because that's what the Switch uses. And it's got, get this, PD 3.0 USB charging, right? Qualcomm type quick charging right out of the back. So you got one of these with you. You also have a backup battery for your phone or your headphones or anything else you might want to charge. And of course, it does have a kickstand. So there's like a 5-in-1 solution here. So if we clip this guy in, we strap it down, we pull the kickstand out. Look at that. We now have, according to the website, 10 plus more hours of gameplay on our Nintendo Switch. That seems pretty cool. They don't cover the heating, the vents on the top. You still have access to the headphone jack, your volume control. It's a well-made unit, and as you can see, it's aesthetically pleasing. This is heavy. This is probably closing in on Steam Deck weight, right? I mean, this becomes fairly heavy. But again, if you're going to be playing on the table using the easy to open kickstand, which is, by the way, a lot stronger than the Switch one is, then you're probably in good shape. But I know what you're thinking. But Shane, if I'm holding it like this, you said this was already uncomfortable. Imagine having all this extra weight along with this. Well, they thought about that, and they include these little grips. So these little grips allow you to take your Joy-Cons, clip them in, and they're still removable. Get this. I thought this was pretty clever. So you have your Joy-Con, you can pop it right in here, right? Your Joy-Con is now self-contained, and it's got the grip on the back, and it doesn't block anything, including your ability to slide it back onto the unit. Right? So we'll take the other one off. We'll do the same thing. Shows all clipped in there. Boom. So now you've got it all. You've got more power. You've got your handles, which, by the way, these are very comfortable. They're about within the same tolerance as this guy right here, right? So now you can rest more of it on your palms, grab from the bottom, and play here. It's actually very comfortable. And you get 10 more hours of play, plus a better kickstand, and you also get the ability to charge your phone, headphones, or some other device at the same time. Pretty cool. This is really neat. I got this for my wife because she plays so much Switch, she needs the extra juice. So we'll go ahead and take these off. There's even little eject buttons on the back of this thing. How great is that? So there you go. And these things just pop right out. Not quite popping out as easy as I had hoped. But one final feature that it's worth noting is, as another bonus, each handle has a slot to hold a Switch game. That's right. So you can now take 2 additional Switch games with you. They're hidden inside the handle. And yeah, how great is that? There's even a slot to put another SD card in there, right? So if you look really close, you can put not only a Switch game in there, but also extra SD cards. These guys thought of everything. BigBlue, I'll have a link in the description below because I know some of you are going to go get one of these right now. And I wouldn't blame you. Pretty neat overall accessory. All right, so we only have a couple more things to look at, and both of these are attempting to solve one more problem. It's the eyeballs, right? Even sitting right here would be uncomfortable for me. I would still have to strain. And let's be honest, there's a lot of indie game ports from the PC that appear on this very device. Some of them will fix the user interface so that you can see the text better on the buttons and whatnot. Unfortunately, there are a lot of games that do a straight port and the text is tiny. Even if you didn't have bad eyes like mine, you'd still have to go hook this guy up to a TV, at least while you're learning the game, to figure out how to use the controls or try to read the text of the story. So for me, being able to see this screen better, which normally would means make it bigger, that would be very interesting to me. So I have 2 products that attempt to solve that problem. The first one is rather simple yet ingenious. This is a clip-on screen magnifier. So this is assuming that you play handheld a lot, but you still need the extra oomph. So this is very, very simple. It does come apart, so you can keep it flat, more or less, so it's not an odd shape. Simply clip it together. This slides down. You stick your Switch in there. Let it sort of snap into place a little bit. All right. So now you've got it attached. Unfortunately, it does cover up your heating vents a little bit, and it does cover up your charging port. But you now have a rather well... I'm going to see if you guys can actually see that or not. I got all these lights and stuff. It's going to be very difficult to see, I think. I may have to do some inset video here of what this looks like. So now, if I'm holding it like this, wait, back up. If I'm holding it like this, I essentially have a huge screen that's very, very easy to see. Now, you do have these magnifying swirls on here that can sort of distort the picture a little bit. And I'll try to get some good close-up video of this so you guys can see what this looks like. But it's definitely designed to be held. Now, on the back side of this guy, there is a flip-down stand, which is actually fairly clever. It's going to be hard for you to see. But you flip it out, and then you bring this little leg up, and it gives you 3 positions that you can let this guy sit on the table. I'm not perfectly centered here. But there you go. So now you can still use your Pro Controller, take off the Joy-Cons, and still be able to experience the games in nice, big, easy to see screens. Now for me, I'd have to bring it right about here in order to have a full-on view, which is actually pretty good because I'll put my hands under the table and I'll play with this. So, and this works great because you have the option, right? You can either play it on the table or you can fold up the stand. This thing slides all over the place, doesn't really stay put. There you go. And so now I can play it handheld. And I can combine this, right? So I can combine this with my grips. Maybe I can't. Certain grips, maybe you could get away with it, but in this case, I could not. What I could do, though, I bet I could use these. Hey, look at this. Solution for a problem I didn't know I had, right? There you go. So now I've got the best. I've got my magnification and I've got good grips. All right. So that's one possibility. Let me take these back off. Take this guy off. This particular unit isn't available anymore. I did leave a link to it from Amazon Japan, and you can get things that are similar to this. There are a couple of other vendors that create something like this, and of course, I'll provide links for you down below. As always, by the way, I do appreciate support on Amazon. I do use Amazon affiliates. I like to disclose that from time to time, and I appreciate it when you buy something from Amazon and get a couple pennies, so help support the channel. All right, the last thing to show you, the very last one, is yet another solution for us poor victims of bad eyesight, and this is yet another solution for magnifying the screen to make it easier to play, or at least to see while you play. So this is a flat solution, so you can fold it down. It gets pretty thin. It's a curved screen, which of course is all the rage. Whether it makes a difference in this case or not, I'm still on the fence, but it's simply flip it up, and you now have the screen. On the back side, you have a stand that has little suction cups on it. You can see that. Little suction cups on it and a little ridge here. And then on the front, you have a little stand. Right? So when all is said and done, it looks like that. Now, this is designed really for phones, right? So you can put a phone back here, and then you get a nice big screen display of your phone. And it does work well for that. In fact, if you put the phone in here, these little ridges keep the phone from sliding down, which unfortunately is a problem for the Nintendo Switch with this product. I'm going to take these guys off. So if you put the Switch on here, first off, there's no groove that actually fits here. You can put it against the suction cups, and it will hold for a while. Unfortunately, after a while, the suction cups will give way, and then it will start to slide like this and slide down like that. So there's a couple different ways you could solve this problem, right? You could put a couple of rubber feet down here, problem solved. This isn't going to go anywhere because it's just enough to get a little bit of momentum going, and then it slides the rest of the way, right? When these suction cups go. There's a whole bunch of other different ways you could probably attack that problem. But out of the box, you're going to have some problems keeping it in that location. Once you do, though, let me see if I can prop this guy up. Once you do, though, let me see if this is any better. There we go. Kind of see it with all my lighting on there. It's kind of hard to see. But you can see this does amplify that picture pretty darn well, honestly. So if I were to turn it this way, now my problem here is, see, it fell right off. I'm gonna get my fingerprints all over this, and then I'm gonna get notices. All right. So right now, when I'm looking down, sitting in a regular chair with this, case in point. All right. So if I'm looking at this, I only see the bottom half of the screen. In order for me to see the whole screen, I'd have to tilt it to this angle from where I'm sitting. If I was shorter, if the table was taller, right? What table's that tall, right? Unless you're, like on one of those bar stool tables at Applebee's, right? So the truth of the matter is you're going to have to boost the bottom of this box and try to keep the Switch sitting up there. So you're going to like lift the bottom with a box or something of that nature, and then you can see a little bit more. Again, I'd have to lift it to right about here. And again, I'm going to suffer with the problem of the Switch eventually will slide down and flop. However, and again, you can't hold this one either, right? So this is something that's table only, where this guy works either on a table or in your hand. So what is that, 5, 6 times now? You'd think I'd learn. However, I will say though that the curved screen actually does matter a little bit here. It does seem to help a little bit with the distortion on the screen, and I can honestly say that if I could get those rubber feet on here and maybe or find some better way to secure this thing, this guy might be a good option, as it does have a nice little footprint. It'd be easy to throw into a suitcase or something with you. This isn't any worse. Once you break it all apart, it's nice and thin. But anyway, so listen, this thing especially at night when I'm sitting on the couch, I will clip this onto my Switch, and I will play using the grips that I showed you earlier. And again, the same problem happens here though, right? So if you have an existing grip set that you really, really like, in this case, I'm using the RDS one. If you have a grip set you really, really like, there's probably going to be a problem securing this to here. In fact, I guarantee it's going to be a problem, right? That these just aren't going to work out for you. However, again, I wanted to point out that having these little grips on the sides, and you could probably buy these sorts of things separately, having these grips on the side partnered with this guy, comfort and the ability to actually see the screen when you're old like me. There you go. Well, listen, I hope you enjoyed looking at some random Switch stuff. I've had a lot of this stuff sitting around, a couple things I bought because I was curious. Anyway, I do the work so you don't have to. I hope you enjoy. Please like the video, subscribe, hit the notification bell to get notified of future videos. I'm Shane R. Monroe, and as always, thanks so much for watching. We appreciate it.